What's up guys? Today we're going to be throwing an Apple CarPlay radio in the LS Swap Colorado, as well as probably a short throw shifter and figuring out why the high beams aren't working. Let's take a quick look at what comes in the box. First up, you get your head unit. It's already in this nice bezel that bolts right into the Colorado dash. It comes with quite a few things, and the harness is here. This is a pre-terminated harness with a steering wheel control box. Freaking awesome, not gonna lie. Radio comes with a bunch of different harnesses for a lot of different things. This looks like a GPS. This is a USB in case you don't want to do wireless CarPlay. This is a AV harness, looks like. We've also got a backup camera in here and a couple of different radio antenna adapters, as well as a trim tool. As a little bit of an audio snob, I've installed quite a few radios in my day. By the time you take into account the bezel, the harness, and the head unit to make your own setup to do this, it actually costs more than this $150 unit available on Amazon. You can get this one at the Linktree link in my bio. I've been using this thing for about a month now, and it's really been great to me. So I'm gonna show you guys how to install it real quick. Before getting in the truck, I'm gonna grab a few things. One of those is gonna be the USB harnesses, our main power harness with the gray plug and the CAN bus box, the GPS dongle, and the radio adapter. Now, I would be installing the backup camera, but I'm gonna save that for a later day. This truck has the AR5 in it running on a Holley Terminator, and it currently does not have a reverse switch sensor or a vehicle speed sensor, hence why we're installing the GPS puck. So we're gonna be leaving the reverse camera for another video. There are plenty of them on YouTube. First up, we need to remove the factory trim bezel. You can do that with this tool, just going around the edges, or if yours is worn out like mine, you can just grab it and pull it right out. There's gonna be 3 7mm screws around the radio that you're gonna take out with a little ratchet. Boom, boom, boom. Once you've made it to this point with everything removed, go ahead and take your radio with nothing plugged into it, and then sit it up here and give it a test fit. If yours is like mine, you're gonna have to crimp the corners of these bottom two right here. To cut my corners, I used a pair of 10 snips and a pair of dikes, and I just kinda snipped at it slowly. It comes off real easy. There's no need to get any power tools involved that make a big mess in your dash. But once you've got it cut away, you should be able to lay this radio up in here and it sit flush and mount clean. And first up here, I'm gonna go ahead and get out the little GPS antenna. I'm gonna spray a little bit of brake clean on this towel outside of the car. With that, I'm gonna find a nice spot on the bar behind the dash and just kind of wipe it off to make sure I got a good place for the adhesive to stick to. It looks like a great place to stick the antenna. It's gonna be right there on that support bar. Before installing the radio, I'm gonna take this wire off the GPS sensor and kind of roll it up a little bit because this is way too much wire. If your truck's really quiet, you're also probably gonna wanna wrap this in some type of harness tape. That way it doesn't have any opportunity to rattle. But this truck's loud and I don't think it's gonna matter. I'm gonna throw this down in the dash here and then I'm gonna reach down around here and try to pull it out. So I took that USB and I threw it down in there. You can kind of see light down in the dash right there. And from there, I just pulled it out from this little cover. I'm gonna leave it hanging out just like that. The last thing to do here is take your power harness with this CAN bus thing installed. My truck doesn't have any steering wheel controls, so I don't really know that I need this, but I'm gonna leave it there anyway. And then you're just gonna plug the main connector in. Pow. Tuck that stuff back in the dash. And now you're ready to come in with your head unit. And we're just gonna plug all this stuff in. The GPS sensor threads on. The rest of this stuff just plugs in real easy. Now at this point, if you're feeling fancy, I would go through and tie wrap all this up and put it in some nice tape. And if you're not gonna organize this because your truck's loud as heck anyway, just push all this behind the dash and start reinstalling the 3 7mm bolts that hold it together. If your clips are kind of worn out, you can take something like a pair of pliers and squeeze the ends on both sides. That way they work again. And at this point, we can go ahead and reinstall the whole radio bezel. Make sure that your hazard wires get tucked back in there and they're not sticking out. Otherwise, you have to look at it. You don't want to do that. Shoo! Check that rig out, y'all. We're looking fancy in this hoe now. And all to think, 150 bucks, and I installed it in less than 30 minutes. This thing is awesome. I think this is a must-do mod for really any car you plan to drive a lot, especially the wireless CarPlay. Makes a huge difference. The main thing I've learned to value about having an Apple CarPlay radio after having one in the Vet and many other cars now is the freaking map. I'm telling you what, I could be coming into blind corners hot as could be. And honestly, I'd have no idea they're even there if it wasn't for the little map on there. So I suggest you guys pick one of these up. You can get one at the link in my bio down below. Everything supports and I do appreciate it. Next up, we're gonna take a look underneath the shifter. I've got a short throw shifter for the truck and I have never looked in here to see if there is one already on it or not. So we're just gonna send it and give it a look. So I'm gonna take this boot off and then we're gonna see what kind of hack job the previous owner did to put this manual transmission in this factory automatic truck. Right out of the gate, we got multiple different size bolts and shit here. Oh, actually, it's not even bolted to the floor, guys. Check that out. Looks like we've got a factory shifter, I think, below. So let's go ahead and yank this boot off and we'll give that a look. Yeah, I'm not all too sure actually what this shifter is, to be honest. All right, I'm digging in its butt with this 12mm socket here. I've got this Fabbot short throw shifter that came with the truck. We're gonna go ahead and throw this unit on there. The way the previous owner cut the floor, This is a pretty tight fit getting in there. This swivel is really too big, but I don't have a smaller one. So we're just gonna see what we can do. Otherwise, I'll have to get underneath the truck and deal with it. And it is about 95 degrees outside right now, y'all. So I was just reading the part description on this guy right here, and it said something about this is not recommended for your Colorado truck application, blah, 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 blah. But we're still gonna try it anyway. So I'll let you guys know how it is. Well, folks, I don't know if y'all just saw that, but I just dropped the stupid plastic piece that goes on the end of the ball down in the transmission. So I guess I'm gonna try my best to find that real quick. Well, friends, it seems like we've made a crucial mistake that's gonna cost me a whole lot of time. This shifter, I figured out why it's not gonna work. It's gonna be way too short as is for using in a truck, but I feel like I should be able to make a rod for this thing and still be able to use it. That is if it's worth it or not. Given the circumstances, I'm gonna take a step away. It's 95 degrees. The real feel is like almost 100 today. And I don't know if I can bear the thought of messing with this stupid thing anymore today. I think I'm gonna drain the transmission and then I guess get down in there with a bore scope and hope that I can find it. Otherwise, I guess we'll be pulling the tail shaft off this thing. Don't even know if that's an option with these transmissions, but we might be learning soon. All right, it's later tonight, we're back. It's about 11 p.m. right now. I couldn't help myself but to get out here and fiddle with it. So here's what I got done. So I was trying to be a brokey and save all of the transmission fluid to be able to reuse it. And you can see how that went. I got like a quart of it, maybe 2 quarts, I think. Oh well, more noteworthy than that, draining the fluids allowed me to spot the little bushing down in there. It's like directly below the shift bar, right underneath that bolt pretty much. And here's my plan to get it out. So a really long pair of needle nose pliers would probably be the best thing. What I've got is this little grabber doohickey that came in a set of magnets from Amazon. And ideally I can fish down in there real sweet-like and get a hold of it. Okay, so another problem I'm having is getting a light down there where I can actually see this thing without holding this in my mouth. And obviously this is a pretty small little guy, and I'm worried it's gonna go down in this little joker as well. Aw, yeah, baby. Shit. Okay. Yo, okay guys, I about shit my pants right there. Actually, I probably got a streak mark. Kind of smells bad in here now, but we got the little doohickey back out of this joker, and I'm feeling pretty hot about it now, not gonna lie. Now I'm gonna put my little tiny baby short throw shifter in here. That way I have to sit up here on this bitch like this every time I roll the gears in this hoe. Since we were lucky enough to get that little bastard out of there, I'm gonna take this shift rod off of here and see if I can get it onto the other short throw. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to buy another shifter rod like this, and they're kind of expensive. This thing's like 80 to 180 bucks on Summit and like eBay. So, okay guys, the bolt holes definitely do not line up. I'm unsure how well that comes through on camera, but yeah, bolt holes, something like that. Yeah, there's a pretty good offset there. So what I'm thinking I'll do here is take a piece of flat metal of a heavy gauge and I'll put it on here. And as you can see, this can kind of offset to be center. Put a piece of flat stock on here, boom, bang the rod on there, keep it centered up. Because it looks like my rod and this actual shifter extension piece are almost identical in width. So if I take a piece of flat stock here, pop this guy right here, we're gonna be in business. I'm making sure to stay extra far away from the gaping hole in the floor open to the transmission. Now that I've lost this little shift ball thing one time, so I'm just gonna pop it back onto this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna go pack this bushing with some grease. I'll be right back. Otherwise, this thing's just gonna drop in and install. It's got 2 raised corners here. Those are gonna go in the back passenger hole and the front driver hole. Make sure your gasket's also the right way. The orientation does matter now. All right, we are putting our little tiny baby floor shifter rig in here for now because I'm just dying to test this thing. Sorry for all the sweat. It is quite literally 100 degrees outside right now. I'm working with the doors closed because I hate bugs, and if they get in here, I might just freak out. Hate to put that on camera. Yeah, boys, a punani. All right, again, I'm just throwing these Allen keys in here, and I just wanted to turn the camera on because I'm pretty antsy to try this, and I'm worried I won't be able to control myself. You know what I'm saying? Also, could you imagine me driving this hoe? We'll have to get some clips on that. I will definitely have to drive this thing with this little tiny baby shifter. Okay, okay. Well, to be honest, I don't exactly know that that's all that much better. Let's get our throw check. Maybe a little bit. I think it maybe has reduced it a little bit. I don't know. It does feel a little bit more kind of crunchy-ish, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna have to drive it to really tell you if this was worth it or not. I think this thing may actually just be made to go in a car and make the shifter work better position-wise, because honestly, I'm not seeing this big 60% reduction or whatever the claim is, but maybe I am a moron, so keep that in mind. But yeah, no, it definitely feels more crunchy. There's also no transmission fluid in this shit right now, so maybe that's that. Here to here, that's a pretty good way. I just don't know about that. What's up, guys? It's the next day. We're back. I've got some flat steel and some hardware to adapt to the shifter, and we've got a big problem right here, and I'm trying to figure out what to do about it. I think I've got a decent plan, so I'm gonna run you through it real quick. So to find the bushing, I had to drain the fluid out of the transmission, or at least most of it. It has maybe like a half a quart in there. Got the thing in my slanted driveway, so I can't drain the rest of the fluid or even back it down the driveway. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna roll this thing back a little bit off these blocks. Then I'm just gonna start the truck with the clutch in first, and I'm just gonna give it one rep up here in the garage, and then get all four off the ground and we'll get after it. To be honest, it feels like I'm in the Sahara Desert with about 50 bajillion freaking flies. I'm about to go insane out here, bro. Ooh la la. Hey guys, that ought to freaking do something. After about 30 minutes on the internet last night, I figured out that MT90 seems to be the most suggested transitional fluid for this. And as a bonus, I was able to get it for $23 a quart on same day delivery. Ordering at midnight last night, this got delivered about 7 p.m. this afternoon. It's now about 9 and I'm getting ate alive by the freaking flies, bro. This shit's so bad out here. But anyway, we're gonna get underneath the truck, drain the rest of it out and put this in there. Probably not gonna show this. I got a little fluid pump, you know, we're gonna get in there, it's gonna be boring. But if you get an AR5 and you're flushing it, MT90 seems like the stuff to use. We'll figure that out after I put it in there and give it a whirl. After that, we just practice our finger game and try our palm game, thumb game, you know, you name it. You're gonna be doing all kinds of things trying to pump 3 quarts into this thing with a manual pump. All right, friends, so I decided to take it around the block with the little baby shifter in the floor. It's pretty goofball-y. I was called hunched up, you know, rowing the boat in that thing. But honestly, super underwhelmed with that shifter. I'm glad that I didn't pay for it. It came with the truck. But honestly, if you've got this shifter, I'm assuming this is the stock one right here. Colorado, don't know. If this isn't stock, let me know. But if you've got this shifter, it honestly is the same throw as that Fabbot short throw shifter. I don't mean to diss them. If you had a car application, I think it'd be a good option because you could, you know, get a different ball on there and whatever and hoorah. But this, honestly, for the truck application, I think is just as short of a throw, or if not shorter, than that Fabbot shifter is. And this one will probably come in your transmission and not cost 300 bucks. So I'm gonna go throw this back in the truck now and put it back to the way it was and just count this as lost time. But in the next video, we're gonna go ahead and put the factory AC setup back on the truck. I've got all the parts. I'll give you guys the part numbers. So make sure you subscribe if you wanna see how to put AC back on an LS Swap Colorado. And in the meantime, spin those wrenches and I'll see you guys next time.